But what I've been noticing more recently is that there's also this subset of people who they want to make the change. They set the alarm for 5 a.m. They automatically hit snooze and go back to sleep, but they realize conceptually that this isn't just who they are. They understand that this is a behavior pattern and that it is actually changeable. Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. Today, I want to talk about a topic that has been really present for me a lot lately. And I've realized that you may relate or find this topic helpful. So, this idea in and of itself seems pretty straightforward at first glance. But I found that it is really incredibly nuanced and much more challenging than you might first think that it is. What I want to talk about is this concept that you cannot be the person you want to be and the person you currently are. So we all understand this at some level, right? It's like if you want to be the person who gets up at 5 a.m. every day and goes to work out, you cannot also be the person who hits snooze 5 times and sleeps in until 7:30. It's pretty obvious who you want to be if you want to change some aspect of your life. Who you want to be is different than who you are. And you cannot be this version of yourself or be that person who does this thing and also be the same version of you that currently exists. But what is really challenging is the process of becoming the new version. It's not like you're just going to wake up tomorrow and have no problem getting up at 5 a.m., going to the gym, and then from this point forward, that's just what you do, right? I mean, at least not most people. Most people are not going to just make this magic shift in their lives where they go from this current reality to some new reality that they're living in with no trouble, no challenge, nothing that comes up along the way. It just isn't that easy to go from one thing to the other, which is why so many people struggle with change and are challenged by the process of changing or accomplishing some goal that they've set for themselves, because the accomplishment of that goal requires them to change something about who they are currently. So I want to take some time to just kind of go through this and talk about why it's so challenging and where so many people get tripped up along this path, right? Ultimately, creating change in your life is going to require you to challenge or face some of your current belief systems or patterns that have been wired into your brain for years and years and years. Some of us have just always been the person who hits snooze 5 times and sleeps in until 7:30. It's just who you are, right? It's basically a reflex at this point. Your alarm goes off, you immediately hit snooze, go right back to sleep, and probably aren't even consciously aware that you're doing it. You wake up again and you're like, what happened? I didn't even know I hit snooze, right? It's just who you are, and it is what you do. It is the behavior that is natural to you at this point in your life. And it truly is just how we work as humans. the brain likes to put as many things on autopilot as possible in order to conserve energy, because thinking and acting intentionally takes energy. And that's why it can feel like hard work, because it legitimately is. It is actual effort and energy that you need to expend in order to think about things or change something in your life. What I find is that so many people, they just succumb to this neural patterning that is there. They have built up, these pathways in their brain over years and years and years of their life, and they truly believe this is just who I am. It's not changeable. And if they go to accomplish something in their lives, or they start maybe setting goals, thinking, oh, hey, maybe I need to do some goal setting. Maybe I do need to make some changes in my life. They will try it for a few days at least, and then typically will just go back to the old patterns and go back to the old way of being. So they set the alarm at 5 a.m. for 3 days in a row, and every single day they hit snooze and they oversleep. Then they tell themselves, like, I'm just not the type of person who is able to get up at 5 a.m. and work out. Like, it's just not me. And they truly never even realize that it is just their subconscious beliefs. It is just the patterns that have been ingrained in them throughout their lives that are making them that person, that are showing up in that way and making them display those behaviors. They do not ever even conceive then that it is possible to sort of change who they are, to change these automatic behaviors or these automatic patterns that show up in their life. And this is truly what it means to have a fixed mindset, right? You just think, this is who I am, and I'm not changing. And, it just is what it is. This is just the reality of my life. So there are so many people who fall into this camp of fixed mindset. They just truly believe at their core that they are who they are, and whatever is happening naturally and sort of automatically day to day in their lives is just their reality. And that is the path that they will remain on for their entire lives. But what I've been noticing more recently is that there's also this subset of people who they want to make the change. They set the alarm for 5 a.m. They automatically hit snooze and go back to sleep, but they realize conceptually that this isn't just who they are. They understand that this is a behavior pattern and that it is actually changeable. They know that they want to become this other version of themselves. They know conceptually that it is possible and that it is all about breaking the old pattern in order to create new patterns and new behaviors in their life. But they still can't quite figure out how to get from here to there. It's like on this conscious level, they understand what it means to have a growth mindset. They get it. But in day-to-day life, they still mostly just fall back into old patterns and old habits with very little measurable change happening on the outside. I think that this is the part where so many people who are trying to create change in their lives, and they understand what it means to have a growth mindset. So they understand conceptually that change is possible and that people truly can grow and change in their lifetimes, but they just can't quite figure out how to implement this change, how to take the action. And then they end up feeling really stuck, because it's like, here I am wanting to make this change in my life, wanting to grow in this way. And I know that that is possible, but I just can't quite figure out the how. I can't figure out what I actually need to do day to day to get from point A to point B. How does one go from conceptually knowing that something is possible to actually taking the actions and getting to that desired result. I believe that this is all about creating this pattern interrupt and ultimately actually doing the hard work. Now, I'm not talking about manual labor or struggle when I say hard work. I'm talking about the challenging mental work of being more intentional in your day-to-day life, because it is that intention and maintaining that focus on being intentional in your actions, in your behaviors, that will get you from point A to point B. It is truly about slowly building habits into your day-to-day life that will force you out of your conditioned response mode or out of that state of autopilot. And it's about trying and trying over and over again to make the change, no matter how many times you fail, no matter how many setbacks you have along the way. It's about maintaining your focus on that specific goal and continually taking action toward it, regardless of how many times you need to start over again. And then eventually your brain will understand that you're serious about this. It will start to rewire for the new behaviors that you're implementing. And then those behaviors will become these new neural pathways that you've created. They will become what feels normal and natural for you over time. But again, it's not going to happen overnight. Changing who you are and how you move through life, how you move through every single day is not quick or easy. And so it does take time, and it takes that maintained attention and focus over a period of time. So in going through any kind of major growth or change in your life, this is the part that feels so challenging. This is the part that feels really, really hard for most of us. It's pretty easy to learn about the concepts of a growth mindset, to learn about what thought work is, or to learn about, how to maintain a growth mindset, how to talk to yourself in a certain way, and, understand conceptually how growth and change happens. It's relatively easy to pick up those concepts and to have them in your brain, but it is like this whole other thing to start implementing them in your life and to actually embody this change, to embody this growth mindset that you need to put into action in your life in order to create the growth, in order to create the change. And it does take time. It does take effort, and it takes stepping outside of your comfort zone, because what your comfort zone is literally is just those behaviors and those patterns that have become so natural for you in your day-to-day life, because you've built them up over years and years and years of this conditioning. And now that feels really natural. It feels really comfortable. And so change requires stepping outside of that, doing things that in the moment feel very uncomfortable because they're not your normal, natural way of being or way of acting. And I think what I've realized is that this is probably one of the best ways to really articulate what it's like working with a coach, because a good coach is going to take you from conceptually learning about something, conceptually understanding and knowing what it means to have a growth mindset, and understanding that change is possible, understanding even how it happens, what needs to occur within your brain in order for these changes to take place, to this point where you're actually able to take action, put it into motion, and truly embody this growth mindset and move yourself from point A to point B in real life, not just in your brain. I think that that truly is the best way that I feel like I can articulate what it's like working with a coach. Is they're going to help you go from conceptually understanding something to getting these concepts to actually implementing them and creating the change and moving toward these goals that you have for yourself in your future. So that's everything I have for today. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day. And also, if this is helpful or if this resonates for you, I would love to hear it because it is something that I feel like kind of keeps coming up. And I keep sort of seeing these people who are basically stuck in this place of knowing and understanding something, but just not quite being able to actually move from knowing and understanding to actually doing and being this certain way that they know they need to move through life. So let me know if this is something that resonated for you. All right. I will see you next time. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.